Everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order and recognize that we do have a quorum. Are there any late additions?
No.
No late additions? So I want to approve the agenda for this evening.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion made by Schwartz,
Second.
second by Longy. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, public comments on agenda items. Okay, great. No one signed up for that, so we'll move on to routine matters. Leslie, would you like to make a motion to approve the minutes of regular session of April 16th, 2026? Claim numbers 54, 58-9, -54, 954, and payrolls for April 30th, 2026 and May 15th, 2026.
I would love to make a motion to approve the minutes, claims, and payrolls as presented.
Motion made by Bunch,
I will second.
seconded by Schwartz. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, communications, information, reports for the board.
First thing we want to highlight is our second annual Teacher of the Year Awards that we gave out this past couple of weeks ago. We decided last year that we would give a secondary teacher and an elementary Teacher of the Year Award, and we'd like to thank Freedom Bank here in town for partnering with us to provide a monetary award of $500 to the teachers that win that award. This year, our secondary Teacher of the Year went to Nicole Hope over at Southridge High School, one of our math teachers over there. Just does a dynamic job for us. And our elementary Teacher of the Year was Lindsay Sickbert over at Holland Elementary. And we certainly appreciate all of our teachers that do such a great job here for us. But it was determined by the principals and the selection team that Nicole and Lindsay rose to the top this year in those two areas. So we certainly thank them and appreciate them. Next, we're going to move to a presentation. We have Tiffany Beckley here tonight, who is our Director of Student Services. She's going to spend a few minutes informing the board about some of the roles that she serves the district, where she just does such a wonderful job. So turn it over to Tiffany at this time.
Very good evening. So I am presenting on WIDA and our iRead Summer School. So WIDA is our English Language Proficiency Assessment in Indiana. It measures language skills in the 4 language domains of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And our teachers also use WIDA English Language Development Standards Framework as a foundation for their curriculum, instruction, and assessment for ELs. So this is mostly about our EL students. Who takes WIDA? Students are identified through a home language survey and an English language screening process. Students identified as English learners take WIDA Access or WIDA Alternate Access annually, and that testing window opens in January. Participation is required under ESSA. Who is an EL student? I think there's sometimes confusion around this. So students are identified through a home language survey. Parents are given this survey upon enrollment once actually in Indiana. So that they're asked 3 questions. And then any language other than English indicated on that home language survey triggers a screener. The WIDA screener determines the English language proficiency in those 4 domains. A composite score is generated, and if they score less than 5 on that screener, the student is then placed as an EL student. An individual learning plan or language plan, is then developed and implemented until the student scores proficiency or 5.0 or higher on the annual WIDA assessment. So keep all this in mind. They test in and then they have to score a 5 to exit our program. Okay. So how is WIDA scored? They receive those scores in the 4 domains: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And then there are also composite scores. We really focus on the overall to make decisions. Scores are reported as proficiency levels from 1.0 to 6.0. And again, 5 or higher is considered proficient. So this is just our data. The grades are on the far left column, the number of students in that grade on the far right column, and then you can see the proficiency level bands, 1 to 1.9, 2 to 2.9, etc. You can see most of our students in the district are falling in the 2 to 3.9 range. So we had 393 students test this year in January, February. How is growth measured? So growth is really important to us also. Indiana uses student growth percentiles to measure English language growth. Keep in mind that it takes 5 to 7 years to attain academic English language proficiency. And so as a district, we set growth targets of 0.5 point for students' overall composite score from year to year. And you can see how that worked out for us this year. So again, most of our students, or a good majority of them, showed significant growth. So our action plan, we of course celebrate growth in the automatic exits of those 17 students who tested at a 5.0 or higher. The state has also introduced an opportunity.
May we go back one?
Sure.
I have delayed intelligence on this. Make sure I understand the green, the expected. So we're saying only 17 of the 320 landed in the expected category.
And then 125 were significant. So
Then on the other side, we had 93 that just showed growth, and then 85 that actually showed a decline.
that is correct. And so you bring up a good point. We do use this data then to look at it, especially.
Go back one more time too.
Sure.
I think if you, where the decline, the largest decline is in 2 places. Do you want to talk about that?
I do. So you'll see it here in grade 6. And the test changes. So from there are grade bands in the test. So there's a kindergarten band, a 1-2 band, a 3-5 band, and then a 6-8 band. And so the test gets significantly harder in 6th grade. That's not an excuse, but it is definitely something to consider. And then you'll see our juniors and seniors are also declining. And we've talked about it as a team. And there's really no incentive for our students, and, other than internal incentive to pass this test. To them, some of these students have been taking this test since they've tested into the program back in kindergarten, and they've just never passed. And so for us, it counts in our accountability. So we care a lot, but for them, it's just another test and they're done, in May. And so we're looking at different ways to externally motivate them.
So outside of 6th grade where the test gets significantly harder that year, and every year we see the 6th grade struggle, and outside of the oldest kids where they start to see, they get older, they get a little wiser, and they're like, this test doesn't determine whether I graduate or not, so what do I care? It just kind of, those are the 2 areas that will always, not always, but those are the 2 areas we typically see that larger decline.
And we'll have parents reach out and say, why is my student taking this test? As in high school, and they're like, well, back in kindergarten, you marked that they spoke Spanish in the home. And they're like, well, they don't even, but once they're in,
Okay, so other than
other than
scoring a
testing
5 and
out.
testing out, okay.
The parents have the right to decline services, but not test.
Okay.
So again, we celebrate growth and exits with the additional evidence review opportunity for grades 3 and higher. Students who score 4.3 or 4.9, we collect additional evidence. So we look at PSAT scores for our high schoolers. We look at iLearn scores. We look at iRead. We look at their GPA, and we can submit that to the state and say, hey, even though they didn't test well on this one time a year assessment, look at how they've been performing across the year, and we can demonstrate their English proficiency that way. And so we have 28 potential exits with that this year. We'll also analyze the growth. If you look, grade 4 is knocking it out of the park. Our students are, they scored at least a point higher than average, and that's a big deal. So we'll communicate with those teachers, and we'll collaborate and see what's going on well there, and we can replicate that or try to replicate that, carry that through our other grade bands as well. And then improve goal setting with our students, keep incentivizing our secondary students, and support our general education teachers and scaffolding, because it's not just on our EL teachers, it's the whole district staff, endeavor. We all work together to make this happen. This is our EL department, so you can have some faces with the people who are behind this work. These are our teachers of record, so they are the experts in language acquisition. We are going to try to add 3 more, which is a conversation you guys will have later today. And they provide and oversee the ELD, the English language development instruction. They write and implement those individual learning plans. So, special education students have IEPs. Our EL students have ILPs, language plans. They evaluate and monitor progress throughout the year, and then they, of course, collaborate with staff and families. Any questions about EL before I progress? Okay. This is iRead Summer School. So this starts next Tuesday. We have 52 students enrolled, and so if students did not pass in grade 3 for the iRead, that was taken in March, and then again in May, we just took another round of it. And our second grade students who scored at risk, they are required, highly encouraged to attend summer school and get remediation instruction, and they'll have another round of testing. Any student who doesn't pass in grade 3 will then be retained if they do not qualify for a good cause exemption. So good cause exemptions, are you guys familiar with good cause exemptions? So if you score at proficiency on your math iLearn in 3rd grade, that's an opportunity for good cause exemption. Special education students, a case conference committee would come together and say that their disabilities keeping them from passing this test, but they should go on with their peers. That's an opportunity. An EL student who's been enrolled in Indiana for less than 2 years, so new to the country, they're eligible. And then if they've previously been retained in 3rd grade or twice in grades K through 2, they're eligible also. Of course, I think you guys are always welcome to come visit and see the program when it's running next week. If you have any interest. All right, that's all I have.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Thank you, Tiffany.
All the best to you and your family.
Thank you. Thank you.
Continuing on, Vice President Schrader, the only other thing I want to draw attention to on the recognition, we obviously have a lot of stuff there for the media that accesses the agenda, and also for community accesses. Lots of stuff listed in each building, but the biggest thing we want to draw attention to is we have an exciting night tonight. Our Southridge Alternative Learning Center graduation ceremony is tonight at 7 o'clock in the high school gym. So we look forward to graduating those students tonight. And then Friday night this week at Memorial Gym, we'll have the Southridge High School students who will graduate high school. And I believe that's at 7 p.m. as well. So 2 exciting nights coming up this week for the district, a culmination of 13 years of a lot of these kids in our district and setting them on to their success in life. So that's the stuff we want to draw attention to recognition-wise. So I think we can move on now to new business there.
Okay. So D, new business. Need a motion to approve our field trip requests as listed.
Make a motion to approve the field trip requests.
Motion made by Longy,
I'll second.
second by Bunch. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Letter E, personnel issues, and these were all in our packet beforehand. People had a chance to review them, so this would include all personnel moves as listed.
I will make a motion to approve all personnel moves as listed.
Motion made by Schwartz,
Second.
second by Longy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Before we move on, we do have one of our teachers who announced her retirement as part of this personnel report. Christina Falkenbush, who teaches 5th grade at Huntingburg Elementary, has served Southwest Du Bois for 31 years. And we just want to draw a special recognition to her tonight and thank her for all those years of service and wish her all the best as she heads into her retirement at the end of this school year.
Great. Item 3, declare the following maintenance equipment as surplus property no longer needed for the purpose intended in order to sell it. And that would be that basic DV3 embosser.
I'll make a motion to approve the surplus property declaration.
Motion made by Bunch,
Second.
second by Longy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 4, approve the first reading of Neola policy updates for volume 38, number 2, which was on file.
I will make a motion to approve the first reading of Neola policy updates, volume 38, number 2.
Motion made by Schwartz,
Second.
second by Longy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 5, treasurer's bonds.
I'll make
This
a,
is something we do every year. It's just all the people that handle money.
I'll make a motion. to approve treasury
Gotcha.
bonds as listed.
I'll second.
Motion made by Longy, second by Bunch. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 6, spring 2026 textbook adoption. Southbridge Middle School DLI curriculum resources, which was on file.
I'll make a motion to approve the textbook adoption.
Motion made by Bunch,
Second.
second by Schwartz. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 7, reappointment of Casey Lindeman and Christopher New to the Huntingburg Public Library Board through May 17th, 2030.
I'll make a motion to reappoint Casey Lindeman and Chris New to the Huntingburg Public Library Board through May 17th, 2030.
Motion made by Schwartz,
Second.
second by Longy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 8, approve the 2026-27 non-certified employee handbook, which we had on file.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2026-2027 non-certified employee handbook.
Motion made by Longy,
Second.
second by Bunch. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 9, summer school offerings as listed for fiscal year 2026.
I'll make a motion for summer school offerings fiscal year 2026.
Motion made by Schwartz,
Second.
second by Bunch. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 10, resolution of general education classroom teacher designated as English learner teacher of record. I think we all got that message today.
I'll make a motion to accept the resolution of general education classroom teacher.
Motion made by Longy,
I'll second.
second by Schwartz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then for number 11, we're going to have our first hearing on the preliminary determination to issue bonds for improvement projects. And I believe this is where I'll go into to talk a little bit about this process and what the next steps will be. The next,
Along with our illustrious guests who are here today.
absolutely, I was going to introduce them here in a minute. Come on, Chip. The next item on the agenda is for the board to hold a preliminary determination hearing on the proposed construction projects. If you're interested in speaking at the hearing, please make sure you have signed the sign-in sheet, which should include your name and address. After a presentation by the administration and its advisors, there will be an opportunity for the public to make comments about the projects. At the hearing, we will ask that each person limit their comments to 3 minutes and that the topic be limited to the proposed projects under consideration. Please remember that this is just the first step in this legal process. There will be more school board meetings in the future as we continue to work on these projects. The notice of this preliminary determination hearing was published as legally required. At this time, I'll ask that our bond counsel, Mr. Eric Long from Ice Miller, explain the purpose of this hearing.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board administration. Again, Eric Long with Ice Miller. Pleased and honored to be here before you again this evening as your bond counsel. This is under Indiana Code Title VI, so any school corporation in the state of Indiana must hold 2 public hearings and in the future adopt a resolution to make a preliminary determination to issue bonds and enter into a lease for projects which have a total project cost in excess of certain thresholds. And also, the other trigger could be for certain school corporations, if you have a debt service tax rate above a certain amount, these hearings are required. Again, just do want to highlight and make a note that this is the first hearing of 2, so there is no school board action for this evening. This is just to present on the projects, hear about the finances, and hear public comment, if any. Happy to entertain any questions you may have on the legal process. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will now hear from our Southwest Du Bois Superintendent of School, Mr. Chip Mahaffey, about the process of determining the need for the project.
All right. Well, Our team here is constantly evaluating our curriculum and our facilities to provide the best opportunities for our students. And when this group, the Board of Trustees, was interviewing me for this position just a short time ago, I asked you guys as a board, what are your top concerns that you have for this district? What is it you want me to put my focus on? And this project that we're discussing tonight represents much of what you all told me on that day. At the top of your list was an aging middle school that will very soon struggle to handle the student enrollment that we have in our current elementary grades. And once I was hired, we formed a team of school district leaders that included our Director of Facilities, Corey Steckler, our Board President, John Minke, our Director of Curriculum, Melissa Beglin, and myself. And we had multiple meetings to gather information on the status of our middle school. These meetings included discussions with architects, building principals, some of our teachers, staff members, parents of our students, police officers to learn about safety, and business owners in our community. And the slide that is on the screen right now shows our enrollment last year at Southridge Middle School was 395 students. This year, that enrollment increased to 430. It also shows how many students are going to be in our middle school in a short while in the year 2028-29. Using today's enrollment data with our current student population that's in our elementary grades, getting ready to move up into the middle school, in the year 28-29, our enrollment will be 496, a large growth in a short period of time. Our current classroom capacity this year is at maximum. We do not have any extra rooms. Our restroom capacity is maxed out. They're full at passing periods, and it's going to get worse in the coming years. Our cafeteria space is maxed out. We're currently running 3 lunches to get all of our middle school students through, and we use an outdoor space to make that happen. Our student storage for lockers is now fully utilized, and they're not secure. With the new laws coming in place that cell phones cannot be used during the school day, students need a place to put their cell phones. We don't have a secure locker system right now to be able to do that. Moving on to the next slide with our facility overview. Portions of the middle school were constructed in the early 1970s, with the last additions and renovations taking place in the mid-1980s. Enrollment in the mid-1980s was around 380 students. Remember that number when we're talking about having nearly 500 students in 28-29. The district has made limited capital improvements since this original construction back in the 80s. The majority of the building systems and the finish are original. Many of our classrooms have retractable walls that create a difficult learning environment because the walls are so thin. You can hear the teacher next door, you can hear the kids next door while you're trying to learn in one classroom. Our administration area is incredibly small and insufficient for our staff needs. The location of our administration area and the main entrance does not permit the secured entrance design that you need for a safe, secure entrance. All of our other buildings have that. The middle school does not currently. The gymnasium, if you've been in it, looks a little archaic as well, and it needs enhancements. So that's kind of a summary of why we're here tonight to discuss this project from the middle school standpoint.
All right, thank you, Mr. Superintendent Mahaffey. We'll now hear from our architect, Mr. J.T. Kinkle, about how the proposed projects meet the needs of the middle school for the district.
Good evening, and thank you, board and administration. What I'm going to discuss now is the project goals that we've been working through with the administration and the faculty of the school. So we can just start right with the bullet points. We need to modify the administration area and the main entrance to permit secured entrance design. That's the last point that the superintendent discussed. We need to provide new student storage lockers sufficient for each student. Currently, we don't have enough, and they are of a different design, and they no longer make parts for those lockers. We need to renovate the original 1971 shop and home economics area. That's the area that Superintendent Mahaffey was discussing with what we call demountable partitions. So they're temporary walls meant for office churn. If you're gonna build a big open office, and you might say you're gonna have this department here 1 week or 1 year, change it, you would use a demountable partition. And that's what was done in the 70s in that area. And that it makes for complicated classrooms. We are going to take that area, turn it into 9 accessible classrooms with a connecting corridor. That corridor will allow us to add lockers in that new corridor, brand new construction, in the existing envelope. Within those 9 classrooms, there are 3 new special education classrooms that will be accessible. The project goal to upgrade finishes and classroom equipment in all of the middle school classrooms. We wish to modernize and right-size the existing locker rooms so they are of a number and size that can accommodate the programs you have. We wish to improve the acoustics and related finishes in the middle school cafeteria. Replace the building automation system controllers for HVAC systems. Replace existing roof areas that are well beyond useful life. Most of those are from either 71 or 85. And we have talked about adding student common spaces. Those are the goals we're working on currently. Any questions that I can answer?
Thank you, JT. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll now hear again from Superintendent Mahaffey about another need being addressed in this project.
Okay, I referenced when you all were hiring me, talking about your top priorities that you thought we really needed to focus on. In addition to the middle school, another concern that you all addressed with me was our district's need to be ready by the fall of 2027 to own many more bus routes, because a number of our contracted route owners had expressed their desire to be done when the current contract ends in the spring of 2027. So basically, the district will need to be ready to purchase more buses, have a place to park them, and be able to have a place to maintain them, to do maintenance on those buses. So again, we gathered a team of district leaders that visited other districts to see their transportation buildings, because our transportation building, when I was hired and currently, is the parking lot. And that's where we are able to do repairs. And the other place we do repairs is we send our buses out.
We like an open air environment.
Exactly. We send our buses out oftentimes and have them maintained at a very expensive rate by a private contractor, various private contractors. So through this process, when we talked to other school districts and looked at their transportation buildings that we know we're going to have, we were told you can expect to spend between $1.2 and $1.5 million to build your own facility. We were told some of the benefits to owning our own routes, which would include aligning transportation resources with enrollment growth, annual savings to the district, and improved reliability, oversight, and long-term efficiency. So as we began looking into where we were going to build our facility, we have on the southwest corner of our property, just south of the softball field, we started looking at possibilities of building a facility out there. And about that time, we became aware of the building right across the street here, which is called KARS, K-A-R-S, that was potentially being for sale. And so we went to conversations with the owner, and we were able to come to an agreement to purchase that facility for around a third of the cost it would cost us to build a new facility. So a huge savings for our district and for our community. We will soon take full ownership of that building, and we'll be converting that building to our transportation facility, where we'll also have space to move our auto tech classes, where we'll also be able to maintain our buses, where we'll be able to park our buses. We currently have 11 buses that we own. In the future, we could have up to 23, and we'll have room at that facility to be able to do that. And that's a mock rendering of what the facility might look like when we get it built or get it renovated here in the near future. This project will help us better serve the needs of our students by bringing our middle school out of the 1980s into the 21st century, and giving the district an opportunity for cost savings in our transportation department once we get the transportation center set up. In conclusion, I'd like to take a quick look at the budget for this project. The estimated hard costs for this project for the middle school and transportation needs is going to be $14 million. $13 million of that committed to the middle school additions and renovations, $1 million towards the purchase of buses and renovating the facility across the street. There's always a construction contingency for that. You usually figure about 10% of the entire project for that. So for a $14 million project, we have $1.4 million set aside for contingency. There are soft costs that we have to pay to people like our illustrious guests we have here tonight, along with many other costs that go into a project like this. Those costs come out to be around 25% typically, so we have that set aside. The maximum project cost for this budget should be $19 million. We aim to come in underneath that number, but we have that as a safe number to finish this project and give our students a much better middle school and transportation setup. So I'll turn it back over to our Vice President at this time.
Thank you, Superintendent Mahaffey. We'll now hear from our financial advisor, Mr. Matt Schumacher with Stiefel, about how the proposed projects will be financed, as well as information about the effect on the typical property taxpayer.
Good evening, Matt Shoemaker with Stiefel. Great to see you all here tonight. So my role tonight, as you just heard, is to talk through the potential financial impact of the said project. Where we always start is looking at where your debt service fund is as of today. And so this graph represents all of your outstanding bond issues. You can see they're color-coded there. You still have some 2010 bond issues. All the way up until what we did last year with the 2025 bond issues. All those stack on top of each other to show the annual payments from the debt service fund. This represents your debt levy being the amount of property taxes collected in order to pay your debt obligations. You can see in 2026, you're about $4.2 million in annual payments when you add up all the various bond issues, scheduled to drop in 27, 28, 29. You can see final payments all the way out in 2044. This is the kind of picture that we want to see when we're talking about new proposed projects, because you have payments dropping. That allows us to add payments on top of those and do it without increasing that levy. So if we go to the next page, we've shown or illustrated how these bonds could be repaid without impacting the levy. So the gray represents what we just showed you. That's your outstanding debt levies for all those bond issues. The light blue on this page would show the proposed middle school project we're talking about tonight, the $19 million. None of this is set in stone. This is completely fluid. This is kind of my first take on what it could look like in terms of the payback. Looking at this, you can see that payments would not increase. They'd stay level through about 2032. Then drop in 2033, giving you the opportunity to hopefully do additional projects at that time without increasing taxes. The exact year where that, what we'd call a cliff would be, is going to be totally up to the administration and the school board. Again, this is just for illustration purposes right now. The key point of this slide, which I've already mentioned, is no increase to that levy. If we're not increasing the levy, we're not asking people to pay more. We're simply asking them to pay the same dollars they're paying in 2026. So this project can be done what we would call tax levy neutral without increasing taxes on the taxpayers. As we look at the next page, Eric mentioned there is no resolution tonight. You're not voting on anything, but I do like to go through the financial parameters that you will see in the resolution next month, just so that if there are any questions, we can talk about those tonight before you actually have to vote. So maximum par amount of the bonds, as we mentioned already, is $19 million. We show estimated cost of issuance. These are upfront professional fees at $250,000. That would leave $18,750,000 available for the hard and soft costs that Superintendent Mahaffey just talked through. Maximum interest rate is 6%. If you were selling these bonds today, you're probably at 4%. We're not selling these bonds today. Interest rates have been going up this year. Over the last few years, they've kind of been up and down. We want to be conservative in that rate, so we have listed that at 6%. Borrowing $19 million at 6% would come up with an estimated interest expense of $14,292,633. If and when these bonds are ultimately issued, hopefully they're issued at a much lower interest rate. If the interest rate is lower, that interest expense should come down hopefully significantly as well. So all the parameters that we're showing on this page are truly worst case. They cannot be any higher than this, or you just can't do the projects. And so we've been pretty conservative in all of these parameters. Maximum annual payment is listed at $5 million. Again, we don't expect to approach that. It's more of a flexibility type play in that payment could be that high. 2026 combined debt service levy, that's what we just showed you, is $4,209,501. The net increase we're expecting to see from this project over that amount is $0. We expect it to be at or below that number moving forward. Last two pieces that we have to have in here per statute is the percent of maximum annual debt service. When looking at your net assessed value, that's listed at 0.7873%. And then outstanding and overlapping debt, that is your debt and all of the other debts of other units that a typical taxpayer would see. That is a percent of the net assessed value is 8.2567%. So I just went through a whole lot. I talked fast. I said a lot of numbers. What questions can I help answer for everyone?
Great stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Well, less than a futility, but we will now open the public hearing. If there were anybody here to speak that would like to speak, they would need to have signed in on the sheet, which is located in our corporation CFO, Ms. Allison Punn's office. As I mentioned earlier, we ask that you state your name, address, limit your comments to proposed projects and financing. Keep any comments to 3 minutes and avoid repetitive if possible. May I think that's possible. May I have the sign-in sheet now, and I will begin calling the names of those who are interested in speaking. Okay? Names have been called. Would anyone else like to speak? If so, please state your name and address and sign the sign-in sheet after you're done speaking. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you to all who participated in the hearing. We appreciate your time and interest in the projects and the future of our community. Please note that this is just the first step in the legal process. Again, no board action is legally required at this hearing. Rather, this hearing is solely to hear public comment. The board will continue to work with the administration and its professionals to look for efficiencies to conserve tax dollars while meeting our educational needs. The board will hold a second public hearing in this boardroom on June the 18th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. Any additional questions or comments? Okay. We will then move to, could I get a motion to approve this first hearing on the preliminary determination?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion approved by Bunch,
I'll second.
second by Longy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any comments from administrator, board, or superintendent?
No.
All right. If there's no other comments, letter E, we will move to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Longy makes the motion.
I'll second.
Bunch seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries and we'll adjourn.